it's going to have the same effects, right? Like the big payday stakes were obviously before the forks. So the inflation that they're going to be bringing when those stakes come out, it's the same cycle. What's the best site for looking at that? I can never remember that one.
Hexfire.
Yeah, Hexfire shows that. It's really important. I don't think a lot of people look at that chart, but it's really important, especially when you're like looking to stake Hex, knowing when a lot of Hex is hitting the market, right? And timing your in stake around that. A lot of stakes always end. I think, from Big Payday, a lot of people just did like on a yearly basis. So you look at that chart, and around the end of the year is when a lot of Hex is hitting the market. So that Hex will be hitting the market on all chains. Will the activity on those chains when, I don't know, maybe some of those people don't even participate in those stakes or on those chains. And so maybe those actually bleed out, whereas like maybe ETH POS has more people's focus that are like ending their stakes. So that might be net positive for yield on those chains. But yeah, it'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah, you were probably thinking of Hex.vision, right? Like that was like one of the first sites that came up where we could kind of see a chart of all those big stakes coming on. That was like the first time I ever got that fear of like, oh, look at this wave of Hex stakes coming out. And then you realize afterwards, it's like, oh, they're just restaking them. Like there's not really a whole lot of fear that should be there. But that side is awesome. I think it was Huddle Dog that was looking at that side a lot. And so I started checking that like religiously all the time. I did notice on the other chains that the Hex share rate is ratcheting up a little bit faster. And I think that's because people are just going over there with their big Hex stakes and like ending them early and then, selling them off, right, to try to extract some value. That's just my theory. I don't know what you guys think on that.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's really interesting because, typically the share rate is really impacted most by like the biggest early stake, right? And so I don't know. That's really interesting. I haven't looked into that though. I will though.
For me, ignorance is bliss because I clearly have come into the community after you guys, so I'm not privy to all that stuff. So I'm just buying and staking and chilling. So for my part, I'm just like not too worried about that right now at this moment.
Stake and chill. Can't disagree with that strategy. I just want to, there's a couple of the questions here I want to get back to because I totally skipped a bunch in the last 20 minutes. Will bridged over Hex reflect the dollar value of what it was on Ethereum? You want to take that?
Of what is on Ethereum? So, I'm assuming he's talking. Yeah.
Just via arbitrage, I mean, usually like that's why wrap Bitcoin like matches with real Bitcoin so closely is because if it doesn't, then there's an arbitrage opportunity to make it paired up at that same price. So yeah, if you bridge over Hex onto any other network, I mean, we saw that with Poly, right? Like it got bridged over on Poly because there's no native Hex on Poly. So all the Hex you saw over there was bridged in Hex, and it would trade at the same value. It basically had parity pretty quick.
That's something that's funny that Nomics does a really good job of too, is if you type in Hex, it'll show you Hex on all the chains it knows about, whether it has data or not. And it's funny enough, you'll see Poly and you click on it, and it's the same. It's the same price because the bridged in value. So that's a fun little fact too. People who are like, oh, Hex on Ethereum and then Hex on the forks. No, there's actually on Poly and other stuff too.